What if the real reason you feel tired is not because life is too hard, but because you are holding too tightly to things that were never yours to control? What if the peace you have been asking for does not come from fixing everything, winning every battle, or being understood by every person? What if it comes from something much simpler, something almost strange at first, something that feels wrong until you finally feel how right it is? What if peace begins the moment you stop caring so much about things that steal your energy and give you nothing back? There comes a moment in life when the soul gets tired of carrying too much, tired of checking every little sign, tired of trying to make people act right, tired of replaying old words in the mind, tired of trying to keep everything from falling apart, tired of being the one who always worries, always explains, always proves, always tries harder. And in that tiredness, something quiet begins to rise inside. A soft voice, a wise voice, a voice that says, maybe you do not need to keep doing this to yourself. Maybe the miracle is not in caring more. Maybe the miracle is in caring less. Not less about what truly matters, not less about love, not less about truth, not less about your heart, but less about the things that drain you, less about what people think, less about forcing outcomes, less about fear, less about being perfect, less about making sure every person understands you, less about trying to control what was always moving in its own direction. There is something deeply freeing about reaching the point where you say, I cannot keep giving my peace away like this. I cannot keep making every little thing feel so heavy. I cannot keep turning my mind into a place of struggle. For many people, this kind of letting go feels strange at first. It may even feel scary. You may think, if I stop caring so much, won't everything fall apart? If I stop trying to control things, won't I lose everything? If I stop worrying, won't I become careless? But that fear comes from a misunderstanding, because there is a difference between being careless and being free. There is a difference between giving up and letting go. There is a difference between being cold and being at peace. The strange magic of simply not caring anymore is not about becoming empty. It is about becoming clear. It is the moment you stop feeding the things that do not deserve your life force. It is the moment you stop watering fear every day with your thoughts. It is the moment you stop making pain your daily practice. It is the moment you step back from all the noise and remember that your spirit was never meant to live in constant tension. Your spirit was made for peace. Your heart was made for trust. Your soul was made to move with life, not fight every wave that comes. Some people spend years thinking that peace will come after everything is solved, after the right person arrives, after money feels safe, after the body heals, after the family changes, after the future becomes clear, after one more answer, one more sign, one more victory. But peace does not work that way. Peace is not the reward at the end of struggle. Peace is the way you walk through struggle without losing yourself. Peace begins the moment you stop asking life to obey your fear. And that is why this truth feels so powerful, because most people are taught to hold on tighter, to try harder, to care more, to stay alert, to prepare for the worst, to never relax too much, to never trust too deeply, to always be on guard. Many people do not even know how tired they are until they finally stop, until they sit in silence and notice how heavy their chest has been, until they take one deep breath and realize they have been bracing against life for years. There is a kind of suffering that comes from pain itself, and then there is a kind of suffering that comes from resisting pain, fearing pain, trying to control pain, and turning every unknown moment into a threat. That second kind of suffering is the one that drains the spirit. It is the one that turns one difficult moment into a whole season of fear. It is the one that makes a small problem feel like the whole world is breaking. And often, the healing begins when you stop trying to manage everything that has not even happened. Think about how much energy goes into caring too much. You care about how you sounded. You care about whether someone texted back. You care about whether you said the right thing. You care about what they meant. You care about what might happen next week. You care about whether the future will work out. You care about whether people approve. You care about things that have not happened yet, things that already ended, things you cannot control, things that may never matter in the way your mind says they do. No wonder you feel tired. No wonder your body feels tense. No wonder your joy feels far away. You have been spending your sacred energy on things that do not know how to love you back. There is a holy kind of wisdom in learning where your energy belongs. Your energy belongs in your breath, in your truth, in your healing, in your daily life, in your connection with the present moment, in the small things that bring light back into your eyes. It does not belong in endless worry. It does not belong in trying to force love. It does not belong in chasing approval. It does not belong in fear of tomorrow. When you stop caring so much about what is outside your hands, your heart finally has room to feel what is inside it. That is where the magic begins. Not in some loud dramatic moment, not in some perfect day where everything suddenly changes, but in a quiet inner shift, a soft release, a deep breath. A moment where you say, I do not need to make this bigger than it is. I do not need to chase this. I do not need to carry this all night in my body. I do not need to give this the power to steal my peace. That moment may look small from the outside, but inside it changes everything, because every time you choose peace over pressure, your soul remembers its true home. Maybe this has already happened to you in a small way. Maybe there was something you once worried over day and night, and later you looked back and wondered why it had so much power over you. Maybe you fought hard to hold on to something that was already leaving. Maybe you spent months trying to make someone understand your heart. Maybe you kept replaying a moment in your mind, trying to fix it after it was over. And then one day, maybe after crying, maybe after being tired, maybe after surrendering, you stopped. you simply stopped. And strangely, that was the day you felt lighter. That was the day you could breathe again. That was the day life started moving again. This is why not caring anymore can feel like a kind of miracle, because it breaks a false belief. It breaks the belief that your suffering proves your love. It breaks the belief that more worry means more control. It breaks the belief that tension keeps you safe. It breaks the belief that your peace must wait. When those false beliefs begin to fall, what remains is something simple and beautiful, a calmer mind, a softer body, a clearer heart, a life that starts to feel more open, more spacious, more alive. The soul does not bloom under constant pressure. It blooms in openness. It blooms in trust. It blooms when there is room to breathe, and when you stop caring so much about what the world is doing, you start caring in a better way about what your spirit is doing. You notice your inner state. You notice how you feel when you wake up. You notice what brings you peace and what steals it. You stop measuring life only by outside results and start measuring it by the quality of your inner life. That is a sacred shift. That is real growth. There is so much freedom in no longer reacting to every little thing, in no longer giving every opinion a place in your heart, in no longer letting every delay feel like rejection, in no longer making every closed door mean something terrible about your worth. You begin to realize that not everything deserves your response. Not everything deserves your tears. Not everything deserves your deep thought. Some things are small because they are small. Some things are leaving because they must. Some things are not working because they are not meant to. Some things are silent because there is nothing there for you. And the more you stop chasing what is not for you, the more clearly you begin to feel what is. This kind of peace is powerful because it is simple. It is not built on force. It is built on release. It is built on saying, I trust life enough to stop gripping it like this. I trust myself enough to walk away from what drains me. I trust peace enough to choose it before proof arrives. This is not weakness. This is maturity. This is not fear. This is wisdom. The strange magic of simply not caring anymore is that when you stop chasing what does not matter, you finally have the strength to receive what does. So right now, before we go any deeper, take a slow breath. Let your shoulders drop just a little. Let your jaw soften. Let your body hear something your mind may still be learning. You do not have to carry everything. You do not have to answer every fear. You do not have to understand every delay. You do not have to make everyone stay. You do not have to prove your goodness by suffering. You do not have to care about every passing storm. Some storms were never yours to stand in. Some burdens were never yours to lift. Some worries were never meant to become your home. Maybe the peace you want is not far away at all. Maybe it is waiting just on the other side of your need to hold on. Maybe it is waiting for you to stop calling tension love. Maybe it is waiting for you to stop making fear a form of devotion. Maybe it is waiting in that quiet place where you finally say, enough, enough overthinking, enough proving, enough forcing, enough carrying what does not belong to me, enough letting outside things rule my inner world, enough making every unknown moment into a problem. There is a sacred power in that word, enough. Enough means a line has been drawn. Enough means your peace matters now. Enough means your heart is no longer available for endless struggle. Enough means something inside you is waking up, and when that waking happens, life begins to feel different. Not because everything around you changes at once, but because you change the way you meet it. You begin to meet life with more space, more breath, more trust, more calm. You stop running after every answer and start standing inside your own center. And from that place, what once seemed overwhelming begins to lose its grip. This is the doorway we are walking through together, not the doorway of coldness, not the doorway of giving up, but the doorway of freedom, the doorway of spiritual peace, the doorway of finally understanding that some things become beautiful only after you stop trying so hard to hold them. And maybe the life you have been asking for begins the day you stop caring in all the wrong places, so you can care deeply where it truly counts. Now, this is where many people get confused, because the words not caring anymore can sound sharp if you only hear them with the mind. They can sound like anger. They can sound like distance. They can sound like a person shutting down. But that is not the kind of energy we are talking about here. We are talking about something much softer, much wiser, much more loving than that. We are talking about release. We are talking about no longer giving power to what keeps stealing your peace. We are talking about caring from the heart, not caring from fear. Not caring anymore does not mean you stop loving. It does not mean you stop feeling. It does not mean you become hard. It does not mean you walk through life like nothing matters. It means you stop letting your nervous mind run your soul. It means you stop making every problem into your identity. It means you stop handing your emotional balance to things you cannot control. It means you choose peace over panic. It means you stop treating fear like wisdom. There is a very important difference between caring and over-caring. Caring is natural. Caring comes from love. Caring says, "This matters to me, and I will show up with honesty and warmth." But over-caring is different. Over-caring comes from fear. Over-caring says, "If I do not manage this, fix this, watch this, hold this, replay this, maybe something terrible will happen." Caring is open. Over-caring is tight. Caring is loving. Over-caring is exhausting. Caring respects life. Over-caring tries to control it. When people hear the idea of not caring anymore, they often think it means becoming passive, but it does not. It means becoming peaceful. It means you still do what is yours to do, but you stop carrying what is not yours to carry. You still speak your truth, but you stop forcing others to receive it. You still show love, but you stop begging for it in return. You still make plans, but you stop acting as if your safety depends on controlling every outcome. You still care about your life, but you no longer turn every detail into a battle. That is why this shift so powerful. It brings balance back. It teaches you how to stay open without being consumed. It teaches you how to love without losing yourself. It teaches you how to act without panic. It teaches you how to care about what matters without becoming trapped in every little thing that does not. This is emotional maturity in a very spiritual form. This is what it means to live with a softer heart and stronger center at the same time. Think of a tree standing in the wind. A healthy tree does not scream at the wind to stop. It does not try to control the sky. It does not take every storm as a personal attack. It bends. It remains rooted. It lets the moment pass through. That is what not caring anymore can look like in the soul. It means you stop fighting every gust of life. You remain grounded. You remain present. You remain true to yourself, but you stop making resistance your main way of living. Not caring anymore means you no longer believe that your worth depends on people choosing you, praising you, agreeing with you, or understanding you. That is a big one. So many people are not tired because life is too much. They are tired because they are trying to earn a sense of worth from outside themselves. They are trying to feel safe through approval. They are trying to feel lovable through being needed. They are trying to feel important through being the one who always holds everything together. That kind of caring is heavy because it is mixed with fear. It is mixed with self-doubt. It is mixed with old pain. When you begin to heal, you start seeing that your peace cannot depend on every person acting the way you hoped. Your peace cannot depend on every plan going exactly right. Your peace cannot depend on life never changing. If your peace depends on outside things staying stable, then your peace will always be in danger. But if your peace begins to grow from within, then even in uncertain seasons, something inside you remains steady. That is the gift of not caring in the wrong way anymore. This kind of release also means you stop reading too much into everything. You stop turning silence into rejection. You stop turning delays into proof that life forgot you. You stop turning one hard day into a dark story about your whole future. You stop giving every passing feeling the power to decide what is true. Sometimes not caring anymore means not following every fearful thought just because it knocked on your door. Sometimes it means saying, I hear this thought, but I do not need to build a home for it. And that matters more than most people realize, because many people are not only suffering from life, they are suffering from the stories they keep repeating about life. Stories like, nothing ever works for me. Stories like, people always leave. Stories like, I have to work so hard for love. Stories like, if I let go, I will lose everything. Stories like, if I stop worrying, I will become careless. And those stories are not truth. They are habits. They are emotional patterns. And not caring anymore often begins with refusing to keep feeding those patterns. There is a softness in this kind of freedom. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is not about making a big statement. It is more like an inner turning. You begin to say, I will still love, but I will not beg. I will still hope, but I will not force. I will still care, but I will not collapse. I will still be kind, but I will not abandon myself to keep others comfortable. I will still show up, but I will not carry what belongs to life, to time, or to other people. That is not coldness, that is self-respect. And in spiritual life, this matters deeply, because the soul cannot hear its own wisdom when the mind is always in panic. The heart cannot feel truth when it is busy chasing control. Inner peace cannot enter a life that is full of constant grasping. So when you stop caring in the fearful way, you become more available to deeper guidance. You start to notice what your spirit is saying. You begin to feel what is actually right for you. You begin to trust your own inner yes and your own inner no. You become less driven by noise and more led by quiet truth. Sometimes people think spirituality means caring about everything all the time, but true spiritual wisdom is more balanced than that. It knows that energy is sacred. It knows that attention is sacred. It knows that where you place your focus shapes your inner life. If you keep placing your focus on fear, lack, rejection, and control, your inner life becomes crowded and heavy. But if you begin to place your focus on peace, truth, trust, and the present moment, your inner life starts to open, and that opening changes the whole way you move through the world. Not caring anymore also means you stop making your pain your personality. This is very important. Pain may have touched your life, but it is not your deepest self. Fear may have visited your mind, but it is not your highest voice. Disappointment may have shaped some of your past, but it does not have to shape your whole future. When you care too much about what hurt you, what left you, what failed you, you can begin to build your whole life around old pain. But when you begin to let go, you create space for something new, new thoughts, new choices, new peace, new life. This does not mean pretending nothing hurts. It does not mean denying your feelings. In fact, true release is only possible when you are honest. You say, yes, this matters to me. Yes, I felt this deeply. Yes, I am human. But you also say, I will not let this become the center of my whole inner world. I will not keep drinking from the same cup of pain every day. I will feel what I feel, but I will not worship suffering. That is wisdom. That is healing. There are moments in life when not caring anymore is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. When a person keeps crossing your boundaries, when a memory keeps pulling you backward, when a fear keeps draining your peace, when your mind keeps asking questions that have no answer yet, when you have done what you can and the rest is no longer in your hands. In those moments, not caring anymore means stepping out of struggle and back into your own soul. It means saying, I have given enough energy to this. I choose to return to myself now. This is not rejection of life. This is right relationship with life. It is learning what is yours and what is not. It is learning that your job is not to control everything, fix everyone, or carry every emotional storm until it breaks you. Your job is to stay rooted in truth, to live with honesty, to act with love, to protect your peace, to listen inward, to trust that what is real will not need endless force, to remember that life is still moving even when you stop pushing it with fear. Not caring anymore, in the deepest sense, means you stop giving the wrong things the highest place in your heart. You stop making fear more important than peace. You stop making approval more important than truth. You stop making control more important than trust. You stop making urgency more important than presence. And when those wrong things lose their throne, something beautiful happens. The right things begin to rise. Calm begins to rise. Clarity begins to rise. Self-respect begins to rise. Spiritual trust begins to rise. Maybe that is what you are being called into now, not into bitterness, not into distance, but into sacred ease, into a life where you no longer have to wrestle with every moment, into a way of being where you can care without drowning, love without fear, hope without gripping, speak without proving, rest without guilt, receive without suspicion, let go without feeling like you failed. This is a softer way to live, but it is also a stronger one. And when you begin to understand this, a great burden starts to fall from your shoulders. You realize you do not need to react to everything. You do not need to answer every message in your head. You do not need to chase every answer. You do not need to explain yourself to every person who misunderstands you. You do not need to carry every possible future in your chest. You are allowed to be here, now, in this moment, and let life be what it is for a while. You are allowed to breathe without solving everything. So let these words settle gently into you. Not caring anymore does not mean you stop loving life. It means you stop fearing life. It means you stop treating every unknown thing like a threat. It means you stop giving your sacred attention to everything that asks for it. It means you become more careful with your energy, more faithful to your peace, more rooted in what is real. And from that place, your life begins to feel different, softer, clearer, lighter, more honest, more free. Now let us go even deeper, because this is where so much hidden pain lives, caring. Too much does not only make you tired, it creates suffering in the body, in the mind, and in the heart. It creates a kind of pressure that slowly becomes normal, so normal that many people do not even know they are carrying it. They wake up with it, they move through the day with it, they bring it into their sleep. It sits in the chest, in the stomach, in the jaw, in the shoulders. It whispers all day long, what if something goes wrong? What if they leave? What if it fails? What if I am not enough? What if I lose control? This is the hidden cost of caring too much. It is not just emotional. It becomes physical. It becomes spiritual. It changes the way you breathe. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you listen, the way you wait, the way you speak, the way you enter a room. When you care too much in a fearful way, you do not just have concern. You live in tension. And tension, when carried too long, begins to shape your whole life. Many people think the pain comes from what is happening outside them. And yes, sometimes life is hard. Sometimes things do hurt. But often, the deeper pain comes from the pressure inside, from the need to hold everything together, from the fear of not knowing, from trying to control what cannot be controlled, from taking every silence personally, from trying to read every sign, from making every delay mean something bad, from carrying the future in the mind as if it must be solved right now. That is what caring too much does. It turns life into a constant emergency. It teaches the body to stay ready, ready for disappointment, ready for conflict, ready for loss, ready for something to go wrong. And when the body lives like that for too long, peace starts to feel unfamiliar. Rest starts to feel unsafe. Ease starts to feel suspicious. You may even find yourself creating worry when there is nothing to worry about, because the system has become used to living in pressure. This is one of the deepest ways pain continues, not because danger is always present, but because over-caring has trained the whole being to expect it. Caring too much also creates pain because it ties your worth to outcome. If something works, you feel okay for a moment. If something fails, you fall apart inside. If a person responds warmly, you feel loved. If they pull away, you question your value. If the future looks clear, you relax. If it becomes uncertain, you begin to panic. This is a very painful way to live, because your inner peace is always being pushed around by things outside you. You are never truly resting. You are always waiting for the next result to tell you how to feel. And that kind of life is exhausting. It is exhausting to care so much about every opinion, every timing, every message, every possibility, every mistake, every memory, every outcome. The mind becomes crowded. The heart becomes heavy. Joy becomes hard to access because there is always one more thing demanding your worry, one more thing asking for your attention, one more fear asking to be fed. And slowly, without meaning to, you begin to live in service of anxiety instead of in relationship with life. This is why overcaring can be so painful. It steals the present moment. It takes a beautiful morning and fills it with imagined future pain. It takes a small delay and turns it into a personal story of rejection. It takes one conversation and makes the mind replay it for hours. It takes one uncertain season and tells you that your whole life is off track. The suffering is not always in the moment itself. Often the suffering comes from what the mind does with the moment. Think about how many times you have ruined your own peace by trying to get ahead of pain. How many times you have rehearsed bad news before it came. How many times you have felt anxious over something that later turned out to be fine. How many nights you have spent carrying tomorrow before tomorrow even arrived. This is what caring too much does. It makes you live through things twice, sometimes 10 times. It makes the body experience what has not happened. It makes the heart ache for stories the mind invented that is real pain, and it is so common that many people call it normal. But normal is not the same as healthy. Just because many people live in overthinking and fear does not mean the soul was meant to live there. The soul was not made to stay clenched. The soul was not made to live in constant watchfulness. The soul was made to trust, to breathe, to open, to receive, to respond with presence, not panic. When caring becomes too much, the soul cannot stretch out in its natural peace. It begins to shrink around fear, and that shrinking is painful. Caring too much also hurts because it keeps you attached to things long after they have shown you what they are. You keep hoping, you keep checking, you keep trying, you keep waiting for what is not giving back. You keep replaying what already ended. You keep asking the same questions even when there are no new answers. Why? Because overcaring creates emotional attachment not only to love, but also to confusion. Not only to what feels good, but also to what feels familiar. Even pain can become familiar. Even anxiety can begin to feel like a form of connection. This is why some people struggle to let go, not because they truly want the pain, but because the pain has become part of how they relate, part of how they hope, part of how they feel alive, part of how they feel close to what they fear losing. But there is no real freedom in that. There is only exhaustion. Because when your love is mixed with fear, it becomes hard to tell the difference between devotion and suffering, and one of the most healing truths, as you can learn, is this: suffering is not proof of love. You do not love more because you worry more. You do not make something happen by fearing it harder. You do not become more worthy by carrying more emotional weight. These are painful beliefs that many people hold without realizing it. They think, if I really care, I should be deeply stressed. If this matters, I should be afraid to lose it. If I love this person, this dream, this future, I should hold on tightly. But love does not need fear in order to be real. In fact, fear often distorts love. It makes love desperate. It makes love controlling. It makes love forget its own beauty. When you care too much, you also stop hearing your inner wisdom. This is another hidden pain, because the louder fear becomes, the harder it is to hear truth. You cannot hear the gentle voice of intuition when the mind is shouting. You cannot feel the natural rhythm of life when you are pushing against it all the time. You cannot sense what is truly yours when you are chasing everything in panic. Overcaring fills the inner world with noise. And that noise is painful because it disconnects you from yourself. So many people are asking for clarity, but their mind is too crowded with worry to notice it. So many people are asking for peace, but they keep feeding the fear that blocks it. So many people are asking for signs, but they are too busy gripping outcomes to see the guidance already present. This is the pain of overcaring. It blinds you to the very help you are seeking. It keeps you trapped in mental loops while life is trying to move you into something lighter. There is also pain in caring too much because it keeps you in a state of self-abandonment. You ignore your body, you ignore your limits, you ignore your need for rest, you ignore the quiet voice inside that says this is too much. You keep going, you keep worrying, you keep giving, you keep carrying, and in that process, you leave yourself behind. This is one of the saddest parts, Many people are so busy caring about everyone and everything else that they no longer know how to care for their own spirit. You can see it in the little ways. You cannot enjoy a meal because you are thinking ahead. You cannot rest at night because your thoughts are still working. You cannot be present with someone you love because part of you is lost in fear. You cannot feel beauty because the mind is busy trying to control tomorrow. This is pain, not loud pain, not dramatic pain, but the quiet kind that slowly steals aliveness, the kind that makes the days pass without being fully lived, the kind that makes joy feel far away even when nothing is terribly wrong in the moment. And often, the people who care too much are very loving people, very sensitive people, very deep people. They notice everything. They feel everything. They want things to be good. They want people to be okay. They want love to last. They want life to make sense. But because they feel so deeply, they can become trapped in over-responsibility. They begin to believe they must manage what they feel by controlling what happens. And that is where pain grows, because life is too alive, too moving, too mysterious to be controlled in that way. The tighter you hold life, the more painful it becomes. It is like trying to hold water in a closed fist. The harder you squeeze, the less you can keep. But when your hand opens, life can rest there more gently. This is true in relationships. It is true in healing. It is true in dreams. It is true in spiritual growth. What is real does not need panic to stay. What is for you does not need fear to survive. But when you care too much, you forget this. You begin to think that your tension is protecting you, when in truth, it is only exhausting you. Sometimes overcaring creates pain because it keeps you tied to an old version of yourself. The version that had to watch everything. The version that had to stay alert. The version that learned early that love might not feel safe. The version that thinks peace must be earned. The version that believes letting go means danger. That younger, wounded part of you may still believe that worry is protection, but there comes a time when the soul wants to grow beyond that. It wants to learn a new way. It wants to live without always expecting loss. It wants to breathe without fear sitting on the chest. This is why healing asks for a different kind of strength. Not the strength to hold tighter, but the strength to soften. Not the strength to predict everything, but the strength to trust. Not the strength to carry all outcomes, but the strength to stay present with what is real now. This may sound simple, but it is a deep spiritual practice, because when you have lived a long time in overcaring, peace can feel unfamiliar at first. You may think something is wrong simply because nothing is tense, but slowly, gently, the heart learns, the body learns, the soul remembers. And what it remembers is beautiful. It remembers that peace is possible. It remembers that not every thought deserves belief. It remembers that one unanswered question does not mean disaster. It remembers that not every person's opinion belongs in your spirit. It remembers that life can move without your constant fear. It remembers that your deepest self is not anxiety. your deepest self is awareness, presence, breath, trust, light, love. Caring too much creates pain because it asks you to live as if everything depends on your fear. But nothing beautiful grows in that soil for long. Fear may create movement, but it cannot create peace. Pressure may create action, but it cannot create true inner safety. Control may create the feeling of doing something, but it cannot create surrender. And without surrender, the heart never fully rests. It keeps guarding, watching, proving, pushing. It stays tired. So if you have been feeling heavy lately, do not judge yourself. Just notice. Maybe you have been carrying too much in the wrong places. Maybe you have been carrying tomorrow in your body. Maybe you have been trying to solve life with fear. Maybe you have been waiting for peace to come after control, when peace can only come through release. Maybe that is why you feel so tired. Not because you are weak, but because your spirit is asking for a different way. A gentler way, a truer way, a way where your heart no longer has to race after every little thing, a way where your body can unclench, a way where your mind does not have to answer every fear, a way where you trust that what matters can be held with love, not panic, a way where you let go of what drains you and return to what heals you. That is the beginning of freedom. That is where the strange magic begins to work, not because life becomes perfect, but because you stop making pain out of everything you cannot control. There is a moment that feels almost holy, though it may not look dramatic from the outside. It is the moment you stop pulling so hard on life. It is the moment you stop trying to make everything happen through effort alone. It is the moment your mind, tired from all its running, finally sits down. And in that quiet pause, something unexpected begins to happen. The very peace you could not find by pushing starts to appear on its own. The answer you chased begins to come closer. The tightness in your body begins to loosen. The heart, which was so busy trying to protect itself, starts to soften. This is the strange magic of letting go. Many people spend a long time believing that if they stop pushing, everything will stop moving. They believe that if they stop trying to control every little thing, life will slip away from them. But life does not work like that. Life is not a machine that only responds to pressure. Very often, life opens when pressure leaves. Very often, what you were trying to force can only come to you when you create space for it. This is hard for the fearful mind to accept because the fearful mind wants to believe that struggle is power. But struggle is not always power. Sometimes struggle is simply resistance. Sometimes struggle is the very thing keeping the door closed. Letting go has a quiet kind of strength. It is not loud, it is not careless. It is not the same as saying that nothing matters. It is saying that peace matters more than panic. It is saying that trust matters more than force. It is saying that you are no longer willing to build your life around tension. You may still care deeply. You may still hope. You may still dream, but you stop wrapping your dreams in fear. You stop turning every desire into pressure. You stop treating every unknown moment like a problem to solve right now. This is where many people get surprised. They think letting go will make them feel empty, but instead it makes them feel lighter. They think surrender will make them weak, but instead it makes them clear. They think releasing control will leave them with nothing, but instead it returns them to themselves. Because the truth is, control was never giving you peace. It was only giving you the feeling that maybe if you stayed tense enough, you could avoid pain. But all that tension has a cost. It steals joy. It clouds clarity. It keeps the body in strain. It turns every day into work. And when you finally begin to let that go, life can breathe through you again. Think about a window in a closed room. If the room has been shut for a long time, the air becomes stale, heavy, still. But the moment the window opens, even a little fresh air begins to move through. Light enters. Space changes. The room feels different, even before anything in it has been moved. Letting go is like opening that window in the soul. Nothing outside may change at once, but inside, the air begins to shift. You begin to feel movement again. You begin to feel possibility again. You begin to feel that maybe peace was not as far away as you thought. There is something beautiful that happens when you stop chasing with fear. You begin to notice how much life was already trying to help you. The closed door you fought so hard against starts to look like protection. The delay you were angry about starts to look like timing. The silence that once hurt your feelings starts to reveal truth. The thing that did not work out begins to make room for something that fits better. But you cannot always see these things while you are gripping too tightly. When the mind is full of pressure, it becomes blind to quiet wisdom. Letting go clears the eyes of the heart. This is why surrender can feel so magical, not because it changes life into a fantasy, but because it changes the way life moves through you. The same day can feel different when you are not fighting it. The same problem can feel different when you stop giving it your whole identity. The same waiting season can feel different when you trust that not everything needs to happen on your timeline. Letting go does not always remove the challenge, but it removes the extra suffering you create when you keep arguing with what is. Many people do not realize how much pain comes from the inner argument. Life says, this is where you are right now. And the mind says, this should not be happening. Life says, not yet. And the mind says, it must happen now. Life says, this is over. And the mind says, no, I will keep pulling at it until it gives me something different. That inner fight is exhausting. It is like swimming against a strong current for hours and then wondering why the body is tired. Letting go is the moment you stop fighting the water and let it hold you for a while. This does not mean you stop taking action. It does not mean you become passive in your own life. It means your action begins to come from peace instead of panic. It means you still do what is yours to do, but you stop acting as if your fear is what makes things happen. You stop trying to control how every person responds. You stop trying to force timing that is not ready. You stop trying to rescue what keeps asking to leave. You stop trying to figure out every detail before you are allowed to breathe. Instead, you act with honesty, and then you release. You show up with love, and then you trust. You move, and then you let life move too. There is a different kind of energy in that way of living. It feels softer, but it is also more powerful, because when your energy is not trapped in fear, it becomes available for wisdom. When your body is not locked in tension, it can hear its own needs. When your heart is not busy holding on, it can receive. This is one of the deepest truths of spiritual life. Receiving requires openness. Blessings do not land easily in clenched hands. Peace does not settle easily in a racing mind. Love does not flow naturally, where fear is always trying to manage the outcome. Letting go makes room. And room is holy. Room is where healing begins. Room is where new thoughts can enter. Room is where truth can speak. Room is where the nervous system finally gets to rest. Room is where joy returns in small, quiet ways. A deeper breath, a softer voice, a morning that does not begin in panic, a moment of trust where there used to be only fear. These may seem small, but they are not small. They are signs that life is moving again, not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it with constant pressure. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you close your fist too tightly, the sand slips through your fingers. But if your hand is open, the sand can rest there gently. So much in life is like that. Love is like that. Timing is like that. Healing is like that. Even peace is like that. The tighter you squeeze, the more you lose your ability to feel what is actually here. But when you soften, when you open, when you stop trying to command life into shape, something begins to stay, not because you grabbed it, but because you finally allowed it. This is why the strange magic of letting go often feels like life suddenly becoming kinder. It is not always that life changed. Sometimes it is that your grip changed, your eyes changed, your energy changed, your spirit changed. You are no longer meeting every moment with the same fear. You are no longer assuming that tension is the only safe way to live. You are no longer feeding every problem with endless mental attention. And because of that, life begins to feel less like a war and more like a path, less like a burden and more like a flow, less like something you must conquer and more like something you can trust. There may even be things in your life right now that are waiting for your release. Not because they need you to stop caring, but because they need you to stop gripping. A decision may become clearer when you stop forcing the answer. A relationship may reveal its truth when you stop chasing it. A dream may begin to move when you stop trying to control every step. Your body may begin to heal in deeper ways when you stop filling it with constant fear. The next chapter of your life may be waiting not for more effort, but for more openness. That can feel hard to hear when you have been taught that everything comes through harder work and tighter control, but there are some things that only bloom in softness. There are some truths that only arrive when the mind gets quiet. There are some blessings that only become visible when you stop staring at the wrong door. Letting go helps you turn your face back toward what is real. It helps you stop spending your whole life at the edge of what might go wrong. It brings you back to this breath, this body, this moment, this inner knowing. And slowly, very gently, you begin to see that letting go is not an ending. It is an opening. It is not loss. It is space. It is not weakness. It is trust. It is not the death of caring. It is the freeing of love from fear. And when love is free from fear, it becomes much more beautiful, much more peaceful, much more true. You begin to love life without trying to own it. You begin to love people without trying to control them. You begin to love your path without demanding that every step look a certain way. That is the deeper magic. It changes not only what you feel, but how you live. So perhaps the invitation here is very simple, not easy, but simple. Loosen your grip, just a little. Let one fear rest for today. Let one unanswered question remain unanswered for now. Let one outcome be held by life instead of by your tired mind. Let one situation breathe without your constant control. See what happens in your body. See what happens in your heart. See what happens when you no longer make pressure your way of loving. You may discover that peace was waiting in that exact space. You may discover that life knows how to move, even when you stop pushing it. You may discover that the strange magic was never strange at all. It was always the natural result of trust. There is a very deep kind of tiredness that comes from trying to be understood by people who are not listening with the heart. It is the tiredness of repeating yourself again and again, the tiredness of explaining your intentions, the tiredness of trying to make your truth look acceptable to every mind that sees it. The tiredness of hoping that if you just say it better, softer, clearer, longer, then maybe someone will finally understand why you are the way you are, why you chose what you chose, why you feel what you feel, why your path matters to you. And after a while, that affair, for it becomes heavy because some people are not confused. They are simply not meant to see what you see. One of the most peaceful changes you can make in life is to stop needing everyone to understand you. Not because your truth does not matter, but because it matters too much to keep placing it in hands that cannot hold it well. There is a kind of suffering that begins when you think your peace depends on being seen correctly by every person around you, because then every misunderstanding feels like a wound, every wrong opinion feels like a threat, every silence feels like rejection, every judgment feels like something you must fix, and before long, you are no longer just living your life, you are managing how your life looks in the eyes of others. That is such a hard way to live. It keeps your nervous system tied to outside approval. It makes your inner peace depend on other people's level of awareness, and that is not a safe place to build your life, because people see through their own pain, their own fears, their own limits, their own stories. Some will understand you deeply. Some will misunderstand you completely. Some will only understand the version of you that feels comfortable to them. Some will only cheer for you when your path looks familiar. If you wait for full understanding from everyone before you allow yourself to rest, you may wait forever. There is real freedom in accepting that not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Not everyone has the eyes for it. Not everyone has lived what you have lived. Not everyone has felt what you have felt. Not everyone can hear what your soul is saying, because they are listening from a different place. And that does not mean you are wrong. It does not mean you are too much. It does not mean your heart needs to shrink so other people can feel more comfortable. It simply means that your life is yours to live, not yours to endlessly explain. So many people lose their peace trying to make their inner world acceptable to others. They explain their boundaries so much that the boundary itself disappears. They explain their choices until the choice begins to feel weak. They explain their healing until their healing starts to feel like a debate. But some things do not need a courtroom. Some things do not need a full defense. Some truths do not need to be proven to be real. You are allowed to know what you know. You are allowed to feel what you feel. You are allowed to walk away from what no longer fits, even if someone else does not understand why. This is where self-trust becomes sacred, because when you stop needing everyone to understand you, you must be willing to understand yourself. You must be willing to stand by your inner knowing even when it is not praised. You must be willing to protect your peace even when someone else calls you selfish. You must be willing to choose what is true for your spirit even when others call it strange, dramatic, unnecessary, or wrong. That takes courage, quiet courage, the kind that does not need to shout, the kind that simply says, I know what is mine to do, and I do not need every person to agree before I take the next step. There is so much emotional waste in over-explaining yourself, so much life force lost in trying to control how you are understood. And the strange part is that the people who truly see you usually do not need so much explaining. They feel your honesty. They feel your heart. They may not know every detail, but they sense your truth. And the people who are committed to misunderstanding you often stay confused, no matter how carefully you speak. This is why peace grows when you stop making their understanding your responsibility. That does not mean you become harsh. It does not mean you stop communicating with love. It means you stop pushing your soul past its limit just to be accepted. It means you speak with sincerity, but you do not chase agreement. You share what is true, but you do not beg to be believed. You honor your own life without trying to shape it into something easier for others to approve of. This is such a freeing way to live because it returns your energy to you. It takes your focus off their reaction and brings it back to your center. Think about how much pain comes from the need to be seen correctly. You replay conversations in your mind. You worry about what they think. You feel upset that they judged you wrongly. You imagine what you should have said. You write long messages in your head. You try to build the perfect explanation that will finally make them understand. And often, all that effort changes nothing. It only drains you. It only keeps you emotionally tied to a place where your spirit is not being met. This is why letting go matters here too. Sometimes peace begins when you say, "They do not have to understand me for me to know who I am." That sentence can change a life. They do not have to understand me for me to know who I am. Feel how much room there is in that. Feel how much breath. Feel how much freedom. It does not close your heart. It opens it in a new way. It frees your heart from the endless labor of seeking permission to be real. And once that labor ends, there is so much more energy for healing, for joy, for quiet confidence, for the actual living of your life. There is also a spiritual lesson here. Not every misunderstanding is meant to be fixed. Some are meant to teach you where your peace belongs. Some are meant to show you how easily you still hand your power away. Some are meant to help you grow roots in your own truth. If everyone understood you all the time, you might never learn how to stand inside yourself without outside approval. You might never learn the quiet power of being at peace with your own path. You might never learn how strong your soul can become when it stops bending toward every opinion. This is especially important when you are growing. Growth often confuses people who reuse to the older version of you. If you begin to set boundaries, some may say you have changed. If you stop explaining yourself so much, some may say you are distant. If you choose peace over drama, some may say you do not care. If you walk away from what hurts you, some may say you are difficult. But growth is not meant to stay small just so other people can remain comfortable. Growth often asks you to disappoint the expectations that were built around your silence. That can feel lonely at first. It can feel strange when you stop reaching so hard to be understood. But inside that strangeness is something beautiful. A new kind of inner rest, a new kind of dignity. You stop running after approval and start standing in truth. You stop asking, "How can I make them see me?" and start asking, "How can I stay honest with myself?" That is a much better question. That is a healing question, because one question gives your power away and the other brings it home. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be understood. It is deeply human. The heart wants connection. The heart wants to feel seen. But there is pain in turning that desire into a need so strong that it rules your peace. The wiser path is this: be open to being understood, but do not be broken by being misunderstood. Speak honestly, but do not chase what cannot hear you. Offer your truth, but do not drag it into places where it is treated like something to defend. Let your life become the explanation. Let your peace become the proof. This is one of the quiet miracles of maturity. You begin to notice that you do not need to answer every wrong idea about you. You do not need to correct every story. You do not need to spend your evenings replaying what someone else thinks. You begin to understand that the people who are meant to know your heart will feel it, and the people who insist on misunderstanding you are not your assignment. Your assignment is your own soul, your own peace, your own honest walk through life. Imagine how much lighter your mind would feel if you stopped trying to manage every opinion. Imagine how much softer your body would feel if you stopped carrying the need to be understood into every room. Imagine how much of your energy would return if you stopped building your inner life around someone else's view of you. So much peace waits there, so much life waits there, so much calm strength waits there, because when you are no longer busy proving your truth, you can finally live it. There may be people in your life right now who do not fully understand your choices, your healing, your silence, your boundaries, or your path. Let them be where they are. You do not have to hate them. You do not have to convince them. You do not have to shrink for them. You can simply bless them inwardly and keep walking. That is not coldness. That is wisdom. That is love without self-betrayal. That is a heart that has learned the difference between connection and emotional dependence. And the more you practice this, the more peaceful you become. You speak less from fear and more from truth. You explain less and trust more. You stop giving every person full access to your inner weather. You become more careful with where you place your emotional energy, not guarded in a fearful way, but rooted in a peaceful way. And from that place, you begin to understand something very beautiful. Your life becomes lighter when your soul no longer has to carry the weight of being understood by everyone. So perhaps this is the invitation now. Release the need to be fully understood by every mind. Release the fear that misunderstanding means you are wrong. Release the habit of proving your spirit to people who only listen from judgment. Let your heart rest. Let your truth be enough for you. Let your path breathe without a long explanation. Let the ones who understand come close naturally. Let the rest remain where they are. You do not need to carry their confusion as if it were your burden. Your burden is only this: to live honestly, gently, and in peace with your own soul. There is a kind of pain that comes from trying too hard to make something work, after life has already started whispering. No, it may not whisper in words. It may whisper in heaviness, in delay, in confusion, in the feeling that every step takes too much effort, in the way your spirit feels drained instead of nourished, in the way you keep giving more and getting less, in the way you keep asking for clarity and only receive more strain. This is often how life tells you that something is not flowing, and yet many people keep pushing. They keep trying to open a door that is not opening. They keep pouring energy into what keeps resisting them. They keep forcing because they are afraid that if they stop, they will lose something they cannot replace. But what if the real loss is in the forcing itself? What if the real cost is not in letting go, but in how much of your peace you spend trying to make dead things bloom? This is one of the hardest lessons for the heart to learn, because the heart wants to believe that if it loves enough, tries enough, waits enough, explains enough, sacrifices enough, then surely something will turn around. Surely the relationship will soften. Surely the timing will change. Surely the path will open. Surely the effort will be rewarded. And sometimes effort does matter. Sometimes devotion matters. But not everything is meant to be saved by more effort. Not everything is asking for one more push. Some things are asking to be released. This can be hard to accept because we are often taught to admire struggle. We are taught that if something matters, we should fight for it no matter what. We are taught that stopping means weakness, that releasing means failure, that letting go means we did not love enough. But that is not always true. Sometimes wisdom is not in the fight. Sometimes wisdom is in recognizing what no longer flows and refusing to lose yourself trying to force it. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is step back and let truth show itself. What flows has a different feeling. It may still ask for effort, but it does not ask for self-betrayal. It may still require patience, but it does not require you to live in constant anxiety. It may still stretch you, but it does not drain the life out of you. There is movement, there is space, there is a sense that even when things are not easy, they are alive. But when something is not flowing, the energy becomes stuck, heavy, repeating, tight. You keep trying to fix what never seems to shift. You keep asking the same questions. You keep waiting for signs that do not come. You keep hoping the strain will become peace, but instead, it only becomes more strain. This can happen in many places, in connections that keep hurting the heart, in situations that keep demanding more than they give, in dreams that were once right for you but no longer match who you are becoming, in timing that is clearly not ready, no matter how much you push it, in plans that looked perfect in the mind but feel wrong in the body, in seasons where you keep trying to return to what life has already moved away from. The details may change, but the lesson is the same. Stop forcing what is not flowing. That does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you stop showing up where life truly asks you to show up. It means you stop turning force into your main way of relating to reality. It means you notice where peace disappears. It means you notice where your body tenses every time you think about something. It means you notice where you are always trying to rescue, fix, manage, or chase. And then, with honesty, you ask yourself a gentle but powerful question. Is this alive? Or am I keeping it alive with fear alone? That question can open everything, because many people stay trapped not in what is real, but in what they are trying to keep real. They are not relating to what is actually happening. They are relating to hope, memory, fear, habit, and attachment. They are forcing movement where there is no real flow, and because of that, they miss what life is doing right in front of them. They miss the doors that are quietly opening elsewhere. They miss the truth that their spirit has already begun to feel. They miss the peace that waits on the other side of release. There is a reason flowing things feel different. They have room for you. They meet you halfway. They move with a kind of natural rhythm. You do not have to drag them across your life. There is give and take. There is breath. There is clarity, even in the unknown. But forced things feel like endless labor. You keep trying to create warmth in a place that stays cold. You keep trying to produce ease in a place that keeps giving pressure. You keep trying to turn mixed signals into certainty, and after a while, you begin to confuse effort with love. But they are not the same. Endless struggle is not proof that something is meant for you. Sometimes what is not flowing is not wrong because it is bad. Sometimes it is simply wrong because it is no longer right. That is an important difference. Not every ending is punishment. Not every closed door is rejection. Not every difficult season means you failed. Sometimes life is simply changing shape. Sometimes your path is moving. Sometimes your soul has outgrown the room it once fit inside. And when that happens, forcing the old shape to remain only creates pain. The kinder path is to notice what is changing and allow it to change. This is where trust becomes deeply spiritual, because when something is not flowing, the fearful mind says, push harder. But the wise heart says, pause, listen, breathe. Notice, what is this trying to show me? Is this truly mine, or am I afraid to let it go? Is this asking for patience, or is it asking for release? These are not always easy questions, but they are honest ones, and honesty is kinder than force. Honesty leads to peace. Force leads to exhaustion. You may have known this feeling before, the feeling of trying to hold something together long after the life had gone out of it, the feeling of checking again and again to see if maybe this time it will be different, the feeling of carrying something in your chest day after day because you cannot bear to stop trying. That kind of effort hurts. It hurts because part of you already knows, part of you already feels the truth, but fear keeps asking for one more sign, one more chance, one more reason to stay in the struggle. And that is where so much suffering comes from, not from truth itself, but from the refusal to accept it. When you stop forcing what is not flowing, you give yourself back your own life. You reclaim your energy from places where it has been leaking away. You stop waking up and immediately feeling burdened by something that keeps resisting you. You stop building your days around a door that is not opening. You stop turning your spirit into a machine for solving what life may not be asking you to solve. And in that return, something very gentle begins to happen. You feel relief, not always all at once, but in moments. More breath, less pressure, more space, less obsession, more trust, less noise. At first, relief can feel strange, especially if you have spent a long time equating struggle with devotion. You may think, should I be doing more? Should I be trying again? Should I be holding on harder? But that is often just the old habit talking, the old habit that believes tension is love, the old habit that believes control. Safety, the old habit that fears the empty space that comes after release. But that empty space is not empty for long. Life fills it, peace fills it, clarity fills it, new movement fills it. What once felt like loss begins to feel like opening. This is one of the hidden gifts of not forcing. It allows truth to become simple. When you stop pulling at something, you begin to see it as it is. When you stop chasing, you begin to notice whether anything is walking towards you too. When you stop over-explaining, you begin to see who listens without being convinced. When you stop trying to arrange every outcome, you begin to notice what comes naturally and what only comes through fear. That clarity is a gift. It saves you years of extra suffering. It saves your heart from living in places that cannot hold it well. There are things in life that are meant for effort, and there are things that are meant for trust. Wisdom is learning the difference. A growing dream may need steady effort. A healing body may need patience and care. A meaningful path may require courage. But even those things carry a sense of life in them, a sense of forward breath, a sense that the effort is feeding something real. Forced things do not feel like that. Forced things feel like you are dragging the weight of fear behind every step. They make the soul smaller. They make the mind louder. They make the body tired. Perhaps there is something in your life right now that you have been forcing, something you keep trying to make happen because you are afraid of what it means if it does not. If so, do not judge yourself. Just look gently. What happens in your body when you think of it? Do you feel expansion or tightness? Do you feel truth or confusion? Do you feel peace or constant pressure? Sometimes the body knows before the mind is ready to admit it. The body tells the truth in simple ways. It softens around what feels right. It braces around what feels forced. If you listen, it will help you. And maybe the next step is not a huge decision. Maybe it is only this. Stop adding extra force. Stop chasing for one day. Stop checking. Stop pulling. Stop trying to make the answer come faster than it will. Give the situation some space. Give yourself some space. See what remains when fear is not holding it up. If it is real, it will not disappear because you breathed. If it is meant for you, it will not require panic to stay alive. If it is not flowing, the pause may reveal that more clearly than endless effort ever could. There is so much dignity in no longer begging life to become something it is not. There is so much peace in no longer forcing your way into what does not open with honesty. There is so much beauty in letting the river flow where it flows instead of trying to drag it backward. This is not defeat. This is harmony. This is not losing. This is listening. This is not weakness. This is self-respect joined with spiritual trust. And when you begin to live this way, something inside you settles. You stop treating every block like a challenge to your worth. You stop making every delay into a reason to doubt yourself. You stop believing that if you just try harder, you can make truth change shape. Instead, you begin to walk with life. You begin to sense where energy moves and where it closes. You begin to trust that what is for you will have a life of its own. It will not need to be dragged across your soul. It will come with breath in it. It will come with room. It will come with a kind of quiet rightness. So let this truth rest in you gently. Stop forcing what is not flowing. Let your peace be worth protecting. Let your energy be used for what is alive. Let what is closed remain closed. Let what is leaving leave. Let what is yours come with more grace. You do not need to wrestle every answer out of life. Sometimes the deepest wisdom is to loosen your hands, trust what is being shown, and make room for what can finally move when you stop trying so hard to control the way it arrives. There comes a point in the healing journey when you begin to feel how much energy has been wasted trying to prove things that your soul already knows. Prove that you are kind enough. Prove that your pain was real. Prove that your heart was sincere. Prove that your choices make sense. Prove that you deserve respect. Prove that you are worthy of love. Prove that you are not who they thought you were. Prove that you are right. Prove that you matter. This need to prove can become a quiet storm inside. It may not always show on the outside, but it keeps the heart restless. It keeps the mind busy. It keeps your peace tied to someone else's agreement. And the truth is, proving is exhausting. It asks you to stay in battles that do not feed your spirit. It asks you to keep speaking long after your heart is tired. It asks you to return again and again to the same place, hoping that this time your truth will be received in a better way. But not every battle is meant to be won. Some are meant to be left. Some are meant to show you how much peace is lost when you keep trying to make the wrong people give you the right kind of understanding. Some are meant to teach you that your spirit does not grow stronger by staying in endless conflict. It grows stronger by knowing when to stop. There is a quiet power in choosing peace over proving. It is not the power of giving up. It is the power of no longer letting conflict shape your inner life. It is the power of no longer handing your nervous system to every disagreement. It is the power of saying, I do not need to keep spending my sacred energy on this. I do not need to keep turning my heart into a courtroom. I do not need to keep gathering evidence for what is already true within me. That is a deep kind of freedom. It changes the way you speak. It changes the way you respond. It changes the way you walk. Kiawe. Many people are raised to believe that if they do not defend themselves constantly, they will disappear. They think silence means defeat. They think peace means weakness. They think stepping back means the other side wins. But peace is not defeat. Peace is a choice to protect what is precious inside you. Peace is the refusal to let every outside storm enter your body. Peace is the wisdom of knowing that some things grow stronger when you stop fighting them and let them pass through. Peace is not about losing your voice. It is about using your voice with care, and then knowing when your soul needs quiet more than one more argument. Think about how many times proving has stolen your energy, how many nights your mind replayed what you should have said, how many mornings started with tension because a part of you was still arguing with someone in your head, how many moments of beauty were missed because your spirit was busy carrying a conversation that ended hours ago, days ago, maybe even years ago. This is one of the hidden pains of proving. It does not only happen in the moment, it follows you. It lingers in the body. It asks to be fed again and again, and often it gives very little back besides exhaustion. Sometimes the need to prove has roots in old wounds. A part of you may still be trying to be chosen, still trying to be believed, still trying to be seen correctly, still trying to make sure you are not dismissed, not judged, not forgotten. That part of you deserves love, it deserves compassion, but it does not need to run your whole life. It does not need to decide every response. It does not need to keep you trapped in struggle just to protect a version of you that no longer needs to fight so hard. Healing means learning how to comfort that part of yourself without letting it turn every disagreement into a war. There is a softer way to live, a way where you can speak clearly and still remain calm, a way where you can say no without turning it into a long speech, a way where you can leave without explaining every detail, a way where you can know you are right for yourself without needing applause, a way where you stop using your life force to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That way of living feels different in the body. The chest feels more open. The breath feels deeper. The mind feels less crowded. The spirit feels less dragged down by things that no longer deserve such a large place in your inner world. Choosing peace over proving also changes the way you see conflict. You begin to notice that not every opinion needs a response. Not every accusation needs a defense. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every invitation to argue deserves your presence. Some things can simply pass by you. Some words do not need to enter your heart. Some people are speaking from their own pain, their own fear, their own limits. And it is not your job to untangle every one of those knots. Your job is to stay rooted in what is true and protect your peace while doing it. This becomes especially important when you are growing into a calmer, more honest life. Growth often changes the way others respond to you. When you stop over-explaining, some may say you are cold. When you stop proving your goodness, some may misread your silence. When you stop chasing approval, some may feel uncomfortable because they were used to your energy moving toward them in a certain way. But peace asks for courage. It asks you to let people have their thoughts without making their thoughts your prison. It asks you to stay close to your own center, even when others do not understand your calm. There is a difference between being peaceful and being silent out of fear. True peace is not shrinking. It is not swallowing your truth. It is not abandoning yourself to avoid discomfort. True peace can still speak. True peace can still set limits. True peace can still walk away from what is unkind. But true peace does not need to keep returning to the same battle once the truth has already been spoken. It does not need to prove itself again and again. It trusts that what is real remains real, even when not everyone agrees. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is say less, not because your truth is small, but because your peace is valuable. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is stop answering the same wound with new words. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let your silence carry what your spirit no longer wants to drag through another round of tension. There is dignity in that. There is strength in that. There is healing in that. Because every time you choose peace over proving, You teach your nervous system that it does not have to stay ready for battle all the time. You teach your heart that it can be safe without constant defense. And safety matters. So many people are tired not only because of what they go through, but because they never fully come out of fight mode. They finish one hard moment and immediately begin preparing for the next one. They carry arguments in their body long after the room is quiet. They imagine what they will say next time. They prepare for judgment before it comes. This is not peace. This is survival. And while survival has protected many hearts, there comes a time when the soul wants more than survival. It wants rest. It wants ease. It wants a life where not every hard thing becomes an endless emotional burden. Choosing peace over proving is one of the ways that rest enters. You stop treating every disagreement like a test of your worth. You stop trying to win people over who do not know how to receive you. You stop giving so much time to the voices that disturb your spirit. You begin to ask, does this really deserve my peace? Does this really deserve my breath, my focus, my whole evening, my whole body? And often the answer is no. Often the answer is that your peace is far too precious to be spent there. This is where spiritual maturity becomes visible in simple ways. In the pause before a reaction, in the decision not to answer every thought, in the choice to leave the conversation in your mind instead of carrying it into tomorrow, in the willingness to let some things remain unresolved without making them your whole identity. This is calm strength. This is inner authority. This is the kind of power that does not need noise to know itself. Maybe that is what your heart is learning now. Maybe it is learning that peace is not found after everyone understands you, agrees with you, or treats you perfectly. Maybe it is found in the moment you stop making their response the center of your emotional world. Maybe it is found in the moment you say, I do not need to keep proving what my soul already knows. Maybe it is found in the breath you take instead of the message you almost send. Maybe it is found in the quiet way you turn back toward your own life and let the storm move past without entering you. So let this truth settle deeply into your spirit. You do not have to prove your worth by staying in struggle. You do not have to prove your love by over-explaining your heart. You do not have to prove your truth to every person who questions it. There is a better way, a gentler way, a stronger way. Choose peace. Choose the breath over the argument. Choose rest over replaying. Choose your own center over their confusion. Choose the quiet dignity of knowing who you are, even when not everyone sees it. That is freedom. That is healing. That is the kind of peace the soul has been longing for. Once you begin to loosen your grip on control, something deeper starts asking for your attention. Not just peace, not just relief, but trust. Real trust. The kind of trust that does not depend on seeing the whole path before taking the next step. The kind of trust that can breathe even in the middle of waiting. The kind of trust that says, life is moving even when I cannot yet see how. This is where the spiritual heart opens in a new way, because letting go is not only about dropping fear, it is also about making room for trust. to live where fear used to sit. Many people struggle with timing. They look at their life and wonder why things are taking so long, why healing is not faster, why love has not arrived yet, why the answer is still unclear, why the opportunity has not opened, why the shift has not come. And the mind, which wants everything now, begins to panic. It says something must be wrong. It says you are behind. It says you missed your chance. It says other people are moving faster, finding more, becoming more, receiving more. And in that comparison, in that urgency, peace begins to disappear. But life does not move by panic. Life does not bloom by pressure. Life has its own rhythm, a deeper rhythm, a wiser rhythm, a rhythm that often makes sense only after time has passed, and the heart can look back with clearer eyes. There are things that feel late to the fearful mind, but are right on time to the soul. There are doors that feel closed in one season only because you were not meant to walk through them until you had grown into the person who could hold what was waiting on the other side. There are pauses that feel painful only because you do not yet see what they are protecting. This is why divine timing can feel both difficult and beautiful. Difficult because the human part of you wants proof now. Beautiful because life is often arranging more than your mind can see. What looks like delay may be preparation. What looks like silence may be gathering. What looks like nothing happening may be deep movement under the surface. Just because something is not visible yet does not mean it is absent. Seeds grow in darkness before they ever reach the light. Dawn takes shape before the first color appears in the sky. There is movement long before there is evidence. The hard part is learning to trust that unseen movement, learning not to make every quiet season into a story of failure, learning not to read delay as rejection, learning not to turn waiting into proof that life forgot you. This is where spiritual trust becomes a daily practice, not a big dramatic choice made once, but a quiet return made again and again, a return to the breath, a return to the present moment, a return to the truth that life may know more than fear does. Trusting life does not mean pretending you never feel impatient. It does not mean you never wish things were clearer. It does not mean you stop desiring what your heart longs for. It simply means you stop letting urgency run your inner world. It means you begin to believe that what is meant for you does not need panic to arrive. It means you let your heart remain open even while the answer is still taking shape. It means you stop trying to dig up the seed every day just to check if it is growing. There is so much wisdom in that image. A seed does not become a tree because it worries harder. It does not bloom because it fears being left behind. It grows because life knows what to do with it. It grows because there is intelligence in the soil, in the rain, in the light, in the timing of things, and you are part of that same living intelligence. Your path has rhythm, your healing has rhythm, your becoming has rhythm, not the rushed rhythm of the mind, but the sacred rhythm of life itself. Sometimes what you want takes longer because you are being asked to become more spacious, more grounded, more ready, more clear. Not because life wants to punish you, but because what is coming asks for a stronger container. It asks for a calmer heart. It asks for a wiser version of you. That does not mean you are not enough now. It means life is not only bringing things to you, it is also shaping you for them. And that shaping takes time. It happens through waiting, through uncertainty, through lessons that may not feel beautiful while you are inside them, but later reveal their grace. There may be things in your past that once felt like painful delays, but now you can see their wisdom. Moments when you wanted one door to open and it stayed closed. Times when you felt frustrated by silence, only to later understand that silence saved you. Seasons when you thought you were stuck, but in truth you were being redirected. Life often speaks more clearly in hindsight, and that memory can help you now. It can remind you that not every pause is empty, not every no is loss, not every not yet is abandonment. Trusting divine timing means learning how to live without forcing the future to prove itself right away. It means letting the present moment be enough for now. It means softening into what is here instead of always racing toward what is next. And this is not passive. It is deeply active in a spiritual way. It takes strength to remain open while you wait. It takes strength to stay kind while nothing is clear. It takes strength to believe in unseen movement when the mind wants visible results. That kind of strength does not always get praised in the world, but it is sacred. It builds a peaceful heart. It also frees you from a great deal of unnecessary pain, because once you begin to trust timing, you stop making your life into a race. You stop measuring your path against someone else's chapter. You stop asking why things are not happening fast enough, as if faster always means better. You begin to see that some of the most important things in life take time because they are deep. Healing takes time because it reaches into old places. Real love takes time because it asks for honesty. Wisdom takes time because it is born through lived truth. Peace takes time because the heart must learn a new way to rest. There is tenderness in accepting this, tenderness in saying, maybe I do not need to hurry my becoming. Maybe I do not need to rush what is still unfolding. Maybe I do not need to punish myself for being in process. Maybe this season is not a mistake. Maybe there is goodness here too, even if it does not look like the answer I expected. That softness changes everything. It takes the fight out of waiting. It turns waiting into listening. It turns delay into depth. It turns uncertainty into a place where trust can grow roots. Trust also helps you stop chasing what is not aligned. When you trust life, you do not need to force every door. You do not need to run after what keeps moving away. You do not need to make your worth depend on quick results. You begin to understand that what is real will come with a kind of rightness, not always ease, but rightness, a sense that even if it asks something of you, it does not ask you to betray your peace. Trust helps you feel that difference. It helps you. You wait for what is truly yours instead of exhausting yourself trying to make the wrong things happen. And the more you live in that trust, the more you notice small signs of support, a conversation arriving at the right time, a quiet inner knowing guiding your next step, a sudden sense of calm where there used to be only panic, a closed path that later reveals itself as protection, a chance meeting, a new insight, a soft feeling that says, keep going, even if the whole staircase is not visible yet. These moments may seem small, but they are not small. They are ways life reminds you that you are not walking alone. This is why trusting life is not blind. It is felt, it is learned, it is built through experience, through remembering all the times you were carried, even when you did not understand, through remembering that you are still here after all the seasons you thought would break you, through remembering that life has a way of bringing clarity when the time is ready. Trust grows when you begin to notice these truths and let them matter more than your fear. So if your heart has been restless lately, if you have been asking when, if you have been feeling behind, let yourself breathe here. You do not need to know the whole plan tonight. You do not need to rush your way into peace. You do not need to force what is still finding its form. Let life move. Let time do its sacred work. Let the unseen remain unseen for a while without deciding that it means nothing is happening. Something is happening, even now, even here, even in the waiting. The next step may be much simpler than your mind thinks. It may only be this. Trust today. Trust this breath. Trust what is already here. Trust that your life has not forgotten you. Trust that what is meant for you will not need fear to find you. Trust that what is taking shape in silence may one day bless you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Trust that divine timing is not always easy, but it is often kinder than urgency. And when you can rest in that even a little, something deep inside begins to relax. The heart stops racing ahead, the body softens, the spirit opens, and that is where peace grows. It helps to have something simple to return to when the mind begins to race again. Because even when you understand these truths, there will still be moments when fear tries to pull you back into old habits, moments when you want to check again, explain again, prove again, force again, worry again. That is part of being human. The goal is not to become perfect. The goal is to return more gently, more quickly, more lovingly to peace. And one of the most beautiful ways to do that is through a very simple inner practice. Start with the breath, not because it solves everything at once, but because it brings you back to what is here. Fear lives in the next hour, the next week, the next answer, the next outcome. Peace begins here, in this inhale, in this exhale, in the soft truth that right now, in this moment, you can loosen your body a little, you can unclench your jaw, you can drop your shoulders, you can stop carrying the whole future in your chest for one breath. One breath may seem small, but it changes more than you think. One breath can interrupt panic. One breath can remind the body that it is allowed to soften. Place a hand on your heart if that feels gentle to you. Feel the warmth of your own hand. Feel that you are here. feel that you are not just a mind racing with problems. You are a living being with a body, a breath, a spirit, a heart that deserves kindness. So many people forget this when they are overwhelmed. They leave their own body and live only in thought. But healing asks you to return, to feel the life inside you, not just the fear inside you. To remember that peace is not only an idea, it is also a felt experience. It lives in the body when the body feels safe enough to let it in. You can say softly to yourself, I release the need to control this moment. Let the words be simple. Let them land slowly. I release the need to control this moment. Notice what happens when you say that. Maybe not everything changes. Maybe the mind still has questions. But even then, something loosens. A little space opens, and in that space, you are no longer fully trapped inside the old pattern. You are beginning to witness it instead of become it. That is already a shift. That is already peace entering. Then say, I choose peace over pressure. Again, very simple, very clear. I choose peace over pressure. Not because everything is solved, but because your spirit deserves a different way of living. Pressure has had enough of your time. Pressure has already taken enough from your sleep, your joy, your mornings, your body. You do not need to give it another throne in your life. Let peace have a turn. Let calm have a turn. Let softness have a turn. It may feel unfamiliar at first, but unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Often, peace feels strange only because fear has been louder for so long. You can also whisper, what is meant for me will stay, and what is not meant for me will pass. This affirmation carries a great deal of freedom. It reminds the heart that real things do not need panic to remain. It reminds the mind that chasing is not the same as receiving. It reminds the body that it does not have to hold on so tightly. When you repeat these words, something begins to settle. Life is not asking you to grip it into shape. Life is asking you to trust more deeply. These words help the heart practice that trust. Another gentle sentence is this: I let life flow, not I force life to flow. Not I figure life out all at once, just I let life flow. There is surrender in that. There is humility in that. There is peace in that. It reminds you that life already has movement. It reminds you that the river knows how to move around stones, around curves, around what seems blocked. You do not need to command the river every second. You can step into it. You can float for a while. You can let yourself be carried instead of always swimming against the current. This inner practice becomes even more powerful when you give yourself a small image to hold. You might imagine a river of soft golden light moving gently in front of you, not rushing, not demanding, just flowing. Imagine yourself standing beside it, holding all the things you have been carrying, the need to be understood, the urge to prove, the fear of being behind, the pressure to control, the pain of what is not flowing. One by one, place them into the river. Watch them be carried, not lost in a frightening way, but held in a larger wisdom than your tired mind can offer. As you do this, say, I do not have to carry everything. Let those words move through your body. I do not have to carry everything. Maybe no one ever taught you that. Maybe you learned to stay alert, to stay strong, to stay responsible for more than was ever yours. But the soul grows lighter when it remembers that it does not have to hold every answer, every fear, every possible future all at once. Life can hold some of it with you. Time can hold some of it with you. Grace can hold some of it with you. There is also a simple question you can ask yourself in moments of fear. Does this need my peace, or is it stealing it? That question can bring sudden clarity, because not everything that asks for your attention deserves your full emotional energy. Some thoughts are only habits. Some fears are only old patterns. Some problems are not meant to be solved in one night. Some situations need patience more than pressure. This question helps you pause before handing your whole nervous system over to something that may not deserve it. If your mind starts racing in the evening, return again. Put your hand on your heart. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out slowly. And say, life is still carrying me, even when I do not understand. Life is still carrying me. These words are not meant to be magic in a dramatic way. They are meant to be medicine in a gentle way. They help your body hear what your spirit may already know. They help you come back to trust when the old ways rise again. You may also want a few short affirmations you can repeat throughout the day. Keep them easy. Keep them soft. Keep them true enough that your heart can lean into them. I release the need to control. I choose peace. I trust the timing of my life. What is meant for me will find me. I let life flow. I am safe to soften. I do not need to prove my worth. I am allowed to rest. These are not just words. They are doors. Each one opens the inner world a little more. Each one reminds the nervous system that there is another way to live. And if one day you forget, if one day the mind becomes loud again, if one day you find yourself caring too much in the old way, be gentle with yourself. Do not turn the practice into another form of pressure. Just return. That is all. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to the hand over the heart. Return to one true sentence. Return to the river. Return to the knowing that peace is still available, even after a hard hour, even after a restless day. Peace does not disappear just because fear visited. It waits patiently, faithfully, quietly, ready for you to come back. The beauty of a simple inner practice is that it brings spirituality out of ideas and into the body. It makes trust something you can feel. It makes release something you can practice. It makes peace something you can choose in small ways again and again, not once forever, but now and now and now. That is how a new life is formed, not through one perfect moment, but through many gentle returns, through many small choices that tell the heart, we do not live by fear anymore. We are learning a softer way. We are learning to breathe. We are learning to trust. So whenever life begins to feel too heavy, come back to this. Breathe. Place your hand on your heart. Say softly, I release the need to control this moment. I choose peace over pressure. What is meant for me will stay. I let life flow. Let the words settle. Let your body listen. Let your spirit remember. This is your way back to yourself. This is your quiet path home. And now, after all of this, let your heart rest in something simple. You do not have to carry life in such a hard way anymore. You do not have to grip every outcome, explain every truth, force every answer, or prove every part of yourself in order to be worthy of peace. You do not have to earn softness through exhaustion. You do not have to wait until everything is clear before you allow your body to breathe. Peace can begin here, not when the whole future is solved, but now, in this moment, in this breath, in this choice to stop making your inner world fight so hard. There is a deep kindness in understanding that letting go is not loss. Letting go is space. It is the space where your spirit can breathe again, the space where your body can stop bracing, the space where old pressure begins to leave, the space where trust begins to take root, the space where life can finally reach you without having to move through layers of fear first. So much of what you have been looking for may not come through more force. It may come through more openness, more softness, more willingness to let life meet you instead of trying to command it. You are allowed to stop trying so hard in the places that only hurt you. You are allowed to stop chasing understanding from those who cannot offer it. You are allowed to stop proving what your soul already knows. You are allowed to stop forcing what no longer flows. You are allowed to trust that what is meant for you has its own path toward you. You are allowed to choose peace even before proof arrives. In fact, that may be where the real miracle begins, not in getting everything you want right away, but in becoming the kind of heart that can rest while life unfolds. Remember this gently. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not failing because things are still taking shape. You are not weak because you are tired of fighting. You are not wrong for wanting a softer life. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. These truths matter. Let them settle into the places in you that have been working too hard for too long. Let them touch the part of you that has been holding so much. Let them reach the younger part of you that thought love always had to come with strain. A different way is possible now. Maybe the strange magic of simply not caring anymore is really this. You stop caring about the wrong things so you can finally care for your own soul. You stop caring so much about control so you can care more about peace. You stop caring so much about approval so you can care more about truth. You stop caring so much about proving so you can care more about presence. You stop caring so much about fear so you can care more about life itself. That is not empty. That is sacred. That is not coldness. That is wisdom. That is not losing your heart. That is your heart coming home to itself. So tonight, or this morning, or whenever these words find you, let yourself soften a little. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your thoughts slow down just enough for your spirit to speak. And hear this. Life is not asking you to become harder. Life is asking you to trust more deeply. Life is not asking you to control every turn. Life is asking you to walk with more openness. Life is not asking you to prove your worth through stress. Life is asking you to remember that your worth was never missing. Place your hand on your heart once more and say softly, I release the need to control. I choose peace. What is meant for me will find me. I let life flow. Stay with those words for a moment. Feel how simple they are. Feel how kind they are. Feel how they open something quiet and true inside you. Let them be enough for now. Let this moment be enough for now. Let the breath be enough for now. And as you move forward, move gently. Expect less struggle from yourself. Expect more grace from life. Notice the small places where peace appears, a softer breath, a calmer response, a moment where you do not chase, a day when you stop proving, a night when you let the future rest outside your body. These are not small things. These are the signs that your spirit is learning a new way. These are the beginnings of freedom. These are the quiet miracles that change a life from the inside out. You do not have to do it all at once. You do not have to become fearless overnight. You do not have to force yourself into perfect trust. Just keep returning. Return to the breath. Return to the heart. Return to what is true. Return to the gentle knowing that peace belongs to you too. Each time you return, something strengthens. Each time you return, something softens. Each time you return, something opens. And over time, what once felt difficult begins to feel natural. Peace becomes more familiar than panic. Trust becomes more familiar than force. Presence becomes more familiar than pressure. So let life hold you a little now. Let time do some of the work. Let grace enter the places where fear has been standing guard. Let your heart rest from proving. Let your mind rest from control. Let your soul remember the freedom of open hands. You are safe to soften. You are safe to trust. You are safe to stop carrying what was never yours to hold alone. The path ahead does not need to be perfect to be blessed. It only needs your honest presence, your open heart, your willingness to let go of what steals your peace, your courage to stop forcing what is not flowing, your trust that what is real will remain, and what is meant for you will arrive in its right time. That is enough, more than enough. It is beautiful enough to build a life on. So go forward with a softer heart. Go forward with less pressure in your chest. Go forward with the quiet strength of someone who no longer needs to chase every answer. Go forward knowing that peace is not far away. It is in the breath you are taking right now. It is in the release you choose today. It is in the trust you practice, one moment at a time. It is in the simple, holy decision to stop caring in the places that only drain you, so you can finally receive the life that has been waiting for your open hands.